Hello and welcome into Thursday's edition of the Arizona State Sun Devils Insider Podcast. And I am Kevin Hicks, and I'm your lead beat writer for the Arizona State Sun Devils on SI. I'm so grateful to be joining you today on this beautiful Thursday evening, as I said previously. We are now just 2 days away from the Arizona State Sun Devils continuing their season. Game number 8 of the season against the Houston Cougars at home. Houston comes into this game with a 6-1 record. The only game that they've lost all season was to Texas Tech, and they've looked pretty impressive for the most part. They do have that narrow escape over Oregon State. They have had a few injury scares, but overall, they are a quality team. Kenny Dillingham, Brian Ward, and Marcus Arroyo, all three sang their praises this week, and they're really just a team that does it by the books. They play physical, hard-nosed defense, sound special teams play. Offensively, they move the ball effectively, complementary football. There's not really one dominant piece to the offense, not one superstar, but they're efficient. Uh, they do have inconsistencies on offense at times, but for the most part, Willie Fritz has built a well-oiled machine in Houston. Uh, they obviously are about a decade removed from being very good under Tom Herman. Then they had Major Applewhite for a couple of seasons. That didn't work out. Then Dana Holgerson, splash hire, longtime West Virginia coach. We all know about that. They had a couple of great seasons under Holgerson. Then they really flatlined. Had a rough first season in the Big 12, and that's when things were uh, changes were decided to be made, and now here we are with Willie Fritz, who's really won everywhere he's gone over his 30-year coaching career, at least as a head coach. And the Sun Devils will have some challenges coming up this Saturday as wide receiver Jordyn Tyson. You all know we've talked about this. He was ruled out by head coach Kenny Dillingham on Wednesday, following Wednesday's practice. And we will talk about that shortly, but Prince Dorba, not much was said about him this week either, but he is doubtful. It doesn't look like he's going to be able to give it a go. We'll see how things transpire over the next 24 hours or so, but I would not expect him to play. I think the doubtful tag is there for a reason, as it was with Sam Levitt. And as for Dorba, Elijah O'Neal and Justin Watley will probably take a lot of the brunt of the work. I also wouldn't be surprised if Albert Smith made his return, because I believe he is off of the injury report now. So that could be something interesting. He missed over a month with an injury that was undisclosed. So on that front, that should be interesting. But what does Arizona State do to make up for Jordyn Tyson's absence? I think that we all possibly saw that as an inevitability after he came back into that game against Texas Tech. Obviously, when you tweak a hamstring, that's something that just is tricky, no matter what grade of strain it is, whatever you did with it. That's something that you don't want to re-aggravate, because you could be out even longer the next time. And Dillingham kind of said that we're just protecting him from himself because he's such a competitor. We don't want this to turn into a long-term thing like we had last season when he broke his collarbone. And what are things that they can do to mitigate the absence of Jordyn Tyson? I have three really big factors that they can certainly look into utilizing. They've discussed. Number one, the use of 12 and 13 personnel. For those that aren't necessarily familiar with that, that is the usage of 2 and 3 tight ends in a set. So for 13 personnel, for example, it would be 5 offensive linemen, a quarterback, a running back, a receiver, and 3 tight ends. Those are more power formation sets where you run the ball and run play action. But Cameron Harpole, Kamari Anderson, and Shimon Mateer are all possibly in line for snap share Even AJ Ia, the talented freshman, could get run without Jordyn Tyson. We'll see what happens with that. But I have faith in the tight end room. Cameron Harpole has really been praised by coaches and players alike over the last few weeks. He's really emerged and made some big time plays, even if he's not getting those explosives for you. He's still a secure target. He knows how to find his spots, a lot like a Jalen Moss or Mateer, just not quite as explosive. But 12 and 13 personnel is one of the ideal ways that they can mitigate Tyson's loss. Another thing is just spreading the wealth, but honestly, emphasizing targeting Jaron Hamilton in the pass game. I've been singing Jaron Hamilton's praises ever since I started attending fall practice at the end of July. And Jaron Hamilton has been as consistent of a practicer as anybody on the Arizona State roster. He just comes every day and gives it his all almost every single day. He rarely drops a ball in practice unless it's contested. He rarely ever runs a bad route. He blocks. He does a little bit of everything, and he's a much, much more well-rounded receiver than anyone would ever believe he is just by seeing the stats this season. I think that this is the game that he's truly going to break out, and I think that there's a reason why players in the Arizona State locker room were labeling him 2026 wide receiver 1 before the season, because we all know Jordyn Tyson is going to the NFL draft. That's not a secret around town. That's not really a secret overall. But Jaron Hamilton, I believe this is the game where you can really involve him at all three levels of the field. You can really continue to build his confidence up ahead of the stretch run, looking to repeat as Big 12 champions. When I talked to Hamilton before the season, he said that Big 12 championship was one of the top things on his list to cross off. So him playing a big role in it and having a massive game, that will certainly help make life easier for Sam Levitt in the absence of a true All-American talent, a Blintikov candidate, all of these things. One of the greatest receivers in the history of Arizona State football, even with competition such as Jalen Strong, such as Brandon Ayuk, N'Keal Harry, and if you go back, there are many other strong Arizona State receivers. Derek Hagan, even before that. And Jaron Hamilton, this is your time to shine. And for the last thing, the run game. That's cliche. That's used a lot when talking about strategy. But last game against Texas Tech, the one thing that Texas Tech did do Sam Levitt just beat Texas Tech's secondary. That's just simple as that. But Texas Tech was really, really elite with the run defense, with the front seven. On Saturday, I believe Arizona State only got about 70 total rushing yards, which is one of the lower totals of the season. And outside the game-winning touchdown, Raleek Brown was a little quiet. Man Robinson could step up in the absence of Kyson Brown. I expected Kanye Udo to step up in the absence of Kyson Brown, but he really didn't play too much. Kanye Udo did look good in practice this week, so that could mean something, but I just believe that to get the best of a physical Houston defense, you're going to need to use all the tricks in the book that you can use, and I think the running game, you can find Marcus Arroyo is really, really good at drawing up creative running plays. I think he doesn't get enough credit for that because of the Camp Scadaboo year last year, but Arroyo is really good at misdirection and drawing up protections and opening up running lanes for guys. And I think the run game has potential to make life easier for Sam Levitt, especially in the context of the game script. I think that they will win this game. We will talk about that more in the preview, hopefully tomorrow. That will get out on Saturday morning. But that is all for today. Thank you so much for tuning in once again. Your support means the world to me, and I will see you all tomorrow.